What's good, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to another broadcast here for Fast Break live on IE Sports Radio. Your direct field for all that is sports, and you are welcome to join us on tonight's show. E-Lock, we got WNBA Championship game number 5, the one that sells it all between the Minnesota Lynx and the New York Liberty out in Brooklyn. Tip-off here starts off anytime now. What you feelings going to the matchup right now?
It's going to be pretty interesting, man. We got to see what's going to happen. The fact that it's in game 5, I think this is a crucial one. I didn't think it was going to get this far, but we definitely about to see what happens. This is a big game. I definitely want to see what it boils down to.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a good game. You know, according to our poll, the New York Liberty won the poll 6-7 over 33. So a lot of people thinking the New York Liberty get their first WNBA championship. That's really something to say for a team that's been one of the first big teams that came to the league. That's really thing to say. But we'll discuss that. We'll recap games 3 and 4. How we got to this point. Also, what do you get about final thoughts on the NBA preseason? What we like, what we dislike, and before the season kicks off here in a couple days. Here. Anything else you want to throw in?
I did see Bronny James had a nice little game, but we're going to talk about that a little bit later on in this show. Something to touch on right there.
We can throw in Bronny James in there. Also, new poll for the NCAA came out as well. So we'll discuss that as well. And a lot of basketball coming up. So right now, we're going to hear a couple words from our sponsors and a word from IE Sports Radio. And then we're going to dive in to the basketball action. But this is Fast Break right here on IE Sports Radio. Your direct feed for all that is sports. We'll catch you on the other side.
IE Sports Radio fans, this show is brought to you by Planet Jerky Premium Brisket Beef Jerky. Planet Jerky is the official jerky of the 2022 California League champion Lake Elsinore Storm, Single A affiliate of the San Diego Padres. This all brisket jerky has gluten-free options, contains no MSG, no sodium nitrate, is low in sugar, and high in protein. Go to their website at planetjerky.net and follow them on Instagram at Planet Jerky. Planet Jerky, the jerky that's on a whole other planet.
Hey there, IE Sports Radio fans. Be sure to check out our sponsor, Seal the Deal Wax Seals by Cecilia B. You just finished your very own wedding or baby shower invitations and you're looking for that extra special touch? Maybe you just wrote a letter to a relative or a friend and you want to add to their smile when they receive it. Then seal the deal with Cecilia's handmade sealing wax stamps for your invitations, letters, and gifts. You bring the deal, we'll bring the seal. You can find them on Instagram at sealthedeal_wax stamps and on Facebook, Seal the Deal Wax Seals.
For the last 10 years, IE Sports Radio has been bringing you amazing content ranging from interviewing legendary athletes, coaches, and other authorized media personnel to building tailor-made shows dedicated to all major sports cities around the country. Make sure to follow us at IE Sports Radio on X, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube to keep up with the latest in sports and with all of our shows. Also, make sure to check out our daily updated website at iesportsradio.com. At iesportsradio.com, you can see our daily show schedule and check out all of our show pages with personal bios to learn a little bit more about each of our awesome hosts. In addition to our show pages, you can catch the iSports Radio blog, Hall of Fame, Fans of the Month page, and our merchandise shop including t-shirts, tank tops, caps, long sleeves, hoodies, and more. For now over a decade here at iSports Radio, we've continued to be by the fans, for the fans, and we thank you all for your support and for making iSports Radio your direct feed for all that is sports.
And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Shout out to our sponsors, Planet Jerky, Seal the Deal Waxes. We greatly appreciate y'all funding and help fund IE Sports Radio. But I'm Davidson Crooks. That's D-Lock on the other side right there. You are listening to Fast Break right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Thank you for tuning in with us tonight on this October 20th. We're not too far from Halloween here. I love Halloween, one of my favorite holidays.
Yeah.
Not my little girl. She gets scared, little thing and stuff like that. But speaking of scary, D-Lock, besides the Titans getting beat down today, we got a lot of butterflies and stuff going on in New York right now. We got the New York Liberty, Minnesota Lynx playing right now, first quarter, with the Lynx up 10-4 against the New York Liberty. Defensive Collier off to a hot start for the Lynx was 6 points so far, as I can see right now. You said the Liberty was going to win the championship. I went the other route, say the Lynx was going to win because this kind of, I don't want to say experience, but this continuity.
Mm-hmm.
Your thoughts in this Game 5 matchup, in which the Lynx are up by 6 right now. What are your thoughts, and what should the Liberty do to win this game, in your opinion?
Well, Brianna Stewart has to get going. Collier came out firing. You know what I mean? She came out, she's grabbing boards, getting putbacks. So, Minnesota is really coming in with, serious intentions. And, with the Liberty, obviously, I thought they had it. I didn't expect Minnesota to come back as they did. Now that the last game, like I said, I believe it was game 4, Friday, for Minnesota to win by 2. That probably was a shot to the chest in New York, and that's probably something that's still kind of stuck in their minds a little bit. But they got to get going. I mean, I think, like I said, Brianna Stewart, she has to get there. I mean, right now she's 0 for 2. She's not doing too much. She has to get a little bit more active for this team to actually pull this W out. But I think this is going to be a game that obviously, like I said, is the one that crowned the champ. But Minnesota, they came out, serious business, and Liberty need to follow suit.
Yeah, I think, just kind of look at things. Let me take these off so everybody can see me real. Like the glasses just hit the reflection. But anyways, going back to game 3,
Mm-hmm.
I thought, I won't say momentum was all in the link side, but because Breanna Stewart, she had a hell of a game. 30 points, 11 rebounds for her.
Right.
She was playing balling out. Jones in another school, those last about 4 minutes-ish, they kind of took over. Jones hit a big three-pointer towards the end there. And then Sabrina, a new school, who I said, D-Lock, last time we did the show, I said she had to step up in a way.
Yeah.
I said, like, at times with her, since she's been in the pros, I won't say it's disappearing acts, but, it's just like, we need you to step up, score. And I'm not saying, like, do game winners like Dwayne Wade or Kobe Bryant, whatever. But, I mean, like, step it up. Like, have a good, consistent game throughout the game, all 4 quarters.
Right.
She stepped up big time at that 3. I mean, damn.
Yeah.
That was beautiful. She took charge. She shot from the damn, like, a few inches from the logo. I said, she popped that beautifully in there. I said, damn, there we go. That's the Sabrina we've been wanting to see. And, I thought maybe they would go Breanna Stewart. She had the high hand. I thought maybe that was the first option, but give credit to them. They went to Sabrina. She made that shot. I said, damn. That's like that was a soul satcher out in Minneapolis in game 3. I said, damn. They come in this game, they could win this.
Yeah. I mean, right now, it seems like they're having that. Sabrina's coming with the same intentions. She's just, she's not making anything right now. She's trying to get started. But again, like I said, you have your stars in Sabrina and Breanna Stewart without points right now. And the thing is, now obviously it's a 4-point game. It's not too much of a large difference. But to me, I agree with you. Sabrina has to do something. She has to get situated. And once she gets started, I think her and Breanna Stewart go hand in hand, right? I think once one gets started, the other one catches fire as well. So this game, like I said, to come down to game 5 is good, obviously, for the WNBA.
Yeah.
But again, like I said, for me, I was with the Liberty. I thought it was a wrap. You know what I mean? I thought it was done. But when you let Minnesota hang around, and now you have that game 4 where you lose by 2, that's, like I said, it's a shot to the chest. And now Minnesota is bringing that momentum from game 4 into game 5.
Yeah.
And Sabrina and Brown, like I said, they have to, get right now. Obviously, like I said, we're just coming in, the game is just starting. Maybe they can start getting these shots and start hitting them. But again, I think once Breanna Stewart and Sabrina get going, we might be looking at a hell of a game.
I think, yeah, we're looking at a hell of a game. And then I want to go back to game 4 real quick before we talk about game 5 a little bit more here. Towards late in the game, I didn't like what Courtney Williams was doing late in the game, beating up the ball, kind of just like trying to make something out of something.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, if I was coaching her, I was like, give us the ball. All right. I would have some screen set, something, to get her off the ball. Because sometimes we watch enough basketball. Sometimes too much dribbling is too much dribbling.
Yeah.
And I thought she did that a little bit too much, especially late in that game when they were trying to, winning. But for me, I think they call a lucky break when Bridget Carlton got fouled. Was it over back on her? Was it not? That was like one of those bang calls. Like, damn.
Yeah.
I had to watch replay a couple times. Like, damn. Old girl was back boxing out real good to my eyes. They called the foul on the defender. I was like, oh,
yeah,
okay. And like old girl, like is on the back like this. I'm like, okay. And then she had to make the free throws, but she made them. So I mean, it ain't like wasn't gonna be easy breezy at the line. But once again, they went to Sabrina D-Lock to try to close the deal. And damn, I thought that shot was going in. I thought it was going in.
Yeah.
But it didn't go in. Mr. Rim, it hit the backboard. And, it seemed like they didn't set up nobody else. It was going straight to Sabrina. Like, Breanna Stewart, when I watched the play, like, Breanna Stewart was like a decoy. I was like, we down 2 like that. I would say try and get a Stewie or something like that.
Yeah.
I know you're trying to win it, not trying to go to overtime, get the dagger, get out. But in that instance, like, give it a Stewie. You're trying to get a nice 2-pointer. She misses, she misses. She makes it, she makes it. But, in that situation, I would have been more comfortable with Stewie. Got that final shot. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with that because, like I said, we already know what Breanna Stewart is. And the game being a two-point game, I think the 3-pointer was a reach, right? You go out there and get that 2-pointer, man. Now you say we're talking about overtime, and we're in a different. We may not be looking at a game 5. So for me, like I said, that coaching decision played a part in the momentum that Minnesota has. But again, like I said, and that's the kind of stuff that those kind of decisions kind of have players questioning. What do I trust this? This play call. How do we approach this on the next game? So for me, man, like knowing that you went for that 3-pointer, obviously you going for that dagger. But for one, they didn't shoot that good at the 3-point land that game anyway.
No.
So to even go for that was definitely a dagger they're trying to hit. But you go for that tie, and then you come back and you bounce back later and say, all right, boom, let's go ahead and refresh. Let's clear it in overtime. But again, because of that, now you're looking at this game 5. And even with, like I said, Stewart didn't even really shoot that well game 4. So what happens now? And I'm just like, you can't get off into that. If you keep this close, this is what's going to happen. Is I think a very similar results. To me, I still have the Liberty winning this game, this series. I think that again, I think Sabrina and Breanna Stewart get this team rolling. I think them and Jaquel, I think they do what they need to. I think you have a pretty decent chance of winning it, but now it comes down. It should not have came down to a game 5, in my opinion. Sometimes you see some series and you like, damn, like this probably could have not should, but could have been over. I say it could have been over, but now what happens is you leave it up to a game 5. Minnesota has a little bit of momentum, and now this is going to be a dogfight.
I slightly disagree right there. I slightly disagree because Minnesota has been one of the, I won't say perfect teams all year, but they were one of the more consistent teams. Like, okay, off the gate, okay, they started off strong. In my opinion, I thought Alyssa Field probably had more for impact off the bench, but she had her moments, but I thought she had more, contributed more to this team's record. Maybe next year, but this team's like one of the more consistent. We're talking about Collier being like a potential, MVP candidate early on. So that's just like, I disagree with there because I think we've seen this team be consistent. The Liberty, they consist off the jump. the only real surprise, the Aces, they kind of had that rocky start of the season, until they kind of found themselves later on. But then, the injuries happened and all that stuff that kind of took that mojo. And then all of a sudden came out Becky Hammond, Brianna, all that stuff.
Yeah.
But, it's great to see, like you mentioned, like this game is going to Game 5. Right now, the Lynx are up 19-10. Some of y'all probably looking at some of y'all probably looking and say, what are you looking at? Like going back and forth a little bit. So Lynx is up 19-10 against Liberty with 16 seconds left in the first quarter. Collier leading the way for the Lynx, 8 points for her. 4 points for Jones for the Liberty. No points so far for Brianna Sewell, so she's got to get going on that front. On that front as well. So, and boom, at the end of the first half, the Lynx are up by 9 in Brooklyn. Your thoughts so far in the first quarter before we go to our first break?
I mean, again, I think you gave Minnesota that chance, and they're taking and running with it. They're jumping out. They know how big this game is. Brianna Stewart 0 for 3 right now. Sabrina hasn't made a shot. So this game obviously is about runs. So hopefully the Liberty can get to it. But the fact that it's in Brooklyn and Minnesota is having this run right now tells us a lot. Like I said, I definitely still had Liberty, but I mean right now it seems like they're gonna have to wake up because of this game. Minnesota going on another run, boy. This game get super ugly super fast.
Yeah, and then like I said, like you mentioned, Brianna, so she got to get going. All right, 0 for 3. Luckily, she got 4 rebounds. Luckily for Jones, she's 2 for 2 right now. So, and I think you need your bench to kind of contribute, which we've kind of seen early on. So, if those things happen, I think they'll possibly make it a game. But they continue the soft players continue shooting flat, like you mentioned. It's a wrap game. Yeah. It's a wrap. And New York, once again, will be titleless here in the WNBA. But we'll be back in a couple minutes, ladies and gentlemen. On the other side of things, we'll give our final thoughts in the NBA preseason and talk about opening day tipping off. But you are listening to Fast Break here live for iSports Radio, your direct feed for all the sports. Thank you for tuning in.
It's IE Sports Radio. It is your direct feed for all that is sports. It is Philly Sports Talk with Cash and Chris every Tuesday night right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Philly Sports Talk with Cash and Chris is the most comprehensive view on Philadelphia sports exclusively right here on IE Sports Radio. You know what it is, your direct feed for all that is sports. Tuesday night, IE Sports Radio, Philly Sports Talk with Cash and Chris.
Era. What's good, everyone? It's Drewski, the host of Heart of Texas Sports on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. On this station, we cover everything in the Dallas-Fort Worth, Texas area. From where we cover the Dallas Cowboys, the Dallas Stars, Dallas Mavericks, Dallas Wings, Texas Rangers, TCU, SMU, we cover it all right here every Wednesdays from 9 to 10 p.m. Central Time. Make sure you stay live with me on the Heart of Texas Sports on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
And we are back on the show. You're listening to Fast Break here, live for IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all your sports. Thank you for tuning with us tonight. We're here tonight discussing Game 5 of the WNBA Championship with the Minnesota Lynx right now up in the second quarter, 22-14 over the New York Liberty. So the Lynx are still hovering close to a double-digit lead right now against the New York Liberty. Liberty trying to win the first WNBA championship in franchise history, which is, if you really think about it, really hard to believe. If you really think about how long this team, since its inception of WNBA, they've been in the fold. Now, as we all know, the Houston Comets, they reign supreme for the first 4 championships. And then after that, the Sparks had a little run. And then, Detroit, a little mix of Detroit in there. Then once Minnesota got Maya Moore, Katie Smith, if I believe that's the right girl I'm thinking about, right? Or Lauren Smith. One of those folks, but I'll look up here in a second. But, once Minnesota got rolling, Connecticut Suns got it mixed in there. The Liberty never won a championship.
It's crazy.
So, I'll be honest with you, it is kind of crazy that they haven't won the championship yet. I'm really surprised they haven't. To be honest with you. Teaspoon, Rebecca Lobo, Becky Hammond, now this current incarnation of the Liberty. I'm surprised they never have. But we'll talk about this game here in a little bit with the Lynx going to a 10-point lead right now.
Whew.
So we'll talk about that, hop back that in and out here in a little bit. But first, let me go to the chat. This is our 200th episode here tonight, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes, sir.
This is the second week of us. Well, second week of doing the consistent video, but we've done video before, doing the NBA draft and stuff like that. So, but from the bottom of my heart, 200 episodes with you, D-Lock. I greatly appreciate you working beside me here for IE Sports Radio. And I appreciate all the listeners out there that listen to the podcast form and for the video form. We greatly appreciate y'all tuning with us every Sunday.
Yeah, I think definitely appreciate y'all for coming in, man. I think I got the notification that we've been doing this for 7 years, which is pretty cool, man, to think. You know what I mean? We went through COVID and all. I remember we remember seeing Rudy Gobert, rub his hands all on the on the thing during the interview. So we've seen it all. You know what I mean? So definitely appreciate you guys, and I love it. You know what I mean? Talking about it so much, I gain more knowledge about both WNBA and NBA. So many more coming. You know what I mean? Like now we got the live video. Oh yeah, we definitely gonna be doing it big time.
Oh yeah, those COVID shutdown shows, boy, we were struggling for content. I don't say struggling, but it's just like, damn.
Yeah. You remember some of them shows we actually had to do like that they wouldn't have no games, so they had like the simulation. So we would talk about the simulation if the 97 Bulls played the 93 Pistons or something like that. Like, we had different things that was going through, but we found a way through it. And I thought that was, like I said, that was super cool. Got a lot of history, man, so it's definitely been real cool to be able to do that.
Yes, sir. And I want to shout out to some of our favorite cast members: James Harden, Ruby Gobert, Kyrie Irving, LeBron. And we'll talk about Junior here in a little bit. We appreciate some of y'all, our favorite cast members, to help us along the way, and among others as well. But to the chat real quick, D-Lock, Terry Rodriguez, thank you, sir. He's in here every day. Shout out to Terry Rodriguez. I appreciate it, sir. Shout out to Yuko. Now, some of y'all don't know about Yuko. He helps promote IE Sports Radio on everything. He pushes the promotions out for the shows, all that stuff. So shout out to Yuko. He always is a big solid on IE Sports Radio. Shout out to our brother Drewski. How you doing tonight, sir? Hope all is well down in Dallas. I know Dallas was off this week, and Drewski had a great show last week. So check it out here on YouTube. Check the replay on that. He had a great show last week. Talk about breaking down the Cowboys, Jerry Jones, everything. And shout out to Marcus. Lowe's great. How you doing tonight, sir? And shout out to the founder, Larry B. Thank you for everything you've done for us here at IE Sports Radio, the lessons, the teachings, the promotion.
Oh, yeah.
So salute to you, Mr. Larry B. And we're going to go strong on this right now. But D-Lock, the NBA preseason has kind of wrapped up in a sense. We're going live in a couple of days with the NBA Tip-Off Tuesday. Your final, I know from the show's account, we haven't tweeted much about preseason. What are your final thoughts on the NBA preseason? What things do you see that you were impressed with, not impressed with? Your final thoughts on the preseason before we go live, talk about the NBA season.
I think one of the first things that probably grabbed a lot of attention was Karl-Anthony Towns and the Julius Randle trade. To get that started, that opened up the season for us. You know what I mean? That was like one of the top topics. But I got to be honest, man. I think somebody that's been very impressive to me so far is LaMelo Ball. I think he's had a hell of a preseason so far. If he stay healthy, I think we could be seeing a pretty decent season for him. Now, what does it do for the Hornets? That's the question that we have to see. I think that knowing the consistency that he can bring, I think that'll help them out. Also, I am very interested to see what this New York Knicks team looks like. You got Jalen Brunson, you went and got Bridges, and now you have Karl-Anthony Towns, which was a very interesting trade. And what does it do? You know what I mean? Also, already, Paul George is injured.
Yeah.
So, again, it's always something with Philly, right? We talk about all the way from Joel Embiid first getting drafted to the Ben Simmons situation to James Harden being there, now to this Paul George thing. So, for me, I want to see how this plans out Philly. Like, what happens? You've made every trade in the book. Hell, the only player y'all haven't had on the team was LeBron James. You know what I mean? You done had Jimmy Butler on that team and all kind of people. So, for me, I kind of want to see what happens with the 76ers. Another question I have is, as we know, is can Boston repeat? With the pieces that they have. Jason Tatum going to the Olympics, getting around the other guys. How does that impact Boston moving forward? Can they get another NBA title? So it's a few things, like I said, my thoughts. And obviously I'll say this. I think Bronny has some work to do. His last game against the Warriors, I believe he had, I think I have it up now. Yeah, he had his most impressive game out of all. 17 points and 4 rebounds. Now I seen the tweet and I thought it was a joke. Like when I really seen it, I was like, seriously? So looking at the highlights, now obviously him starting. But the question is, where does he fit in with the Lakers?
That's a good question.
Where does he get in rotation with the Lakers? Right now, like I said, he is that guard. I mean, I'm looking at some of these roster pieces that they have. Do we really see Bronny James getting in that much? And does he get moved to the G League? Like what happens, right? It to me, that's a question that's going to be answered, and I think it's going to be answered pretty soon. So overall, though, man, I'm excited for the NBA to be back. I'm definitely wanting to see, how Steph does without, Clay. We want to see what the Warriors do look like. So also what does Milwaukee look like with Dame and Giannis? So it's gonna get very interesting, man. I'm definitely excited to see what happened, and I'm ready for the opening night.
I think for me, this kind of looking at some games and stuff like that, like Wednesday, I pulled the laptop, I checked out a couple games. I watched some reason or another. I watched the Blazers, and I think the team from Australia, I believe. And I just watching this game, D-Log, I was like, damn. The Blazers that they built now are kind of on the same level of this Australian team right now. Yeah, they won by 11, but it's just like, I look at this team. They shot 5 for 24 against this Australian team.
Mm-hmm.
Scoot Henderson, yeah, he had 23 points, but he had some silly fouls. DeAndre Ayton, shot 6 for 8, but you kind of wish he did more. Kind of got more of a presence down low against this squad. Now, some of y'all probably listening to this and saying, "Why are you talking about the Blazers and playing this team from Australia?" I don't know. Sometimes you gotta just look around preseason and see how teams are. It's easy, like you brought up, New York, Boston, Philly, Lakers, Golden State. But you also brought up Charlotte, LaMelo Ball. Hey, we got to check on Portland.
Mm-hmm.
Scoot Henderson. A lot of people are thinking he's the next big thing. Last year didn't go to corner plan. Hornets fans. We used to have a guy on iSports Sports Radio that was just like mad as hell that that granted they didn't get the first overall pick to get Wemby, understandable, but didn't draft Scoot Henderson over Brandon Miller. Now you kind of look at it now. Thank goodness you got Brandon Miller, and you kind of look at what Scoot Henderson did this past last season. You feel confident having Brandon Miller in the mix compared to Scoot right now.
Right.
Time will tell, how those things will shake out. But sometimes it's good to check on the lesson teams, see how they're doing, how some of these young guys are progressing along. Because, like I said, Scoot Henderson was the 3rd overall pick last year. You gotta check on these guys, see how they're doing. DeAndre Ayton, number one overall pick. You gotta keep an eye on these guys, see how they're doing, make sure they're going to wasteland. Love Tracy Bullock. How's he progressing along as a coach as well?
Yeah.
Shout out to Chauncey Billups, made it to the Hall of Fame after a very rocky start to his NBA career. When I mean rocky start to his NBA career. But you got to check on these guys. All that stuff. So, they won that game the other night. I watched that game. Looked pretty good for the most part from some of those guys. A lot of those guys need a lot of work, especially they shooting. That team's ain't gonna be shooting a lot of 3-pointers and stuff like that. If they get hot, they get hot. But that team is not an outside scoring team. I know we kind of like want to talk about that in the NBA, space and shoot and all that stuff. Not a lot of these teams are not going to do that. They're not. They're not built for that. So, I'm back on the side of coaching basketball this year. I'm gonna tell these kids, hey, yeah, I mean, it's nice to see space and kicking from Alabama when Nate Oates is doing stuff like that, or Bruce Pearl down at Auburn. All that good stuff. Eric Musselman, go to the pros, watching the Warriors and play all that stuff. Phoenix Suns, but hey, if I don't got at least 2 or 3 good shooters on my squad like that, hey, we will get the best high percentage buckets that we can. So, also my fault. Paul George going down, and I don't know if you saw this, D-Lock. Joel Embiid made the comments that he's not going to be playing back-to-backs anymore in his NBA career.
I've seen that.
But I think the plan is Paul George is not going to do that as well. I'll bring this up to you in this and talk about Philly. If the goal is to win the championship, if bringing Paul George is to help them get to that point, can they build enough continuity with those guys out for a good minimum games? Can they win the championship off the limited continuity in your eyes?
What I'm doing right now is I'm gonna pull up their, how they have their depth chart set up, because I think obviously we know the person that started this was Kawhi Leonard, right? Play a game, don't play that back-to-back game, and now it's a trend that a lot are doing. The fact that Joel Embiid said that he's not playing any back-to-backs, I'm pretty sure he feels that Paul George wants to follow suit. Now you do have a decent roster, having Kelly Oubre, Max obviously, and Eric Gordon. But to get that chemistry to where it needs to be, I think you're going to need back-to-back games. And the reason why is because, you obviously in back-to-back games, the body is not at 100% that very next game. So I think that the chemistry that these guys put together is it does not need to rely on being 100% all the time. You're going to have games where you're tired, right? So one person has to pick up the other. One person has to pick up the slack from the other. They have to read each other's mind. That's what that chemistry is. That's why you have something they call practice. As we know, we talk about practice, as AI would say. But again, this is something that you need because it gives you that chemistry at those needed times. You know what I mean? Like when it gets to the point of, hey, Paul George is dead time, so he needs to rely a little bit more on Embiid or Tyrese Maxey. I think them actually missing back-to-back games as Joel Embiid plans to, I think it hurts everybody else on the team. I think it hurts the chemistry of everybody else.
Oh, yeah.
And I know that you're going to have Drummond get in, you're going to have KD Martin, all these other guys, but clearly it's in my eyes, in my opinion, is a big three in Tyrese, Paul George, and Embiid. And those guys need to get as much playing time together as they need. Now, I ain't saying do what Tibbs do and play 48 for all minutes in every game. No, I'm not saying that. But when it comes to important games, listen, I don't need you to show up when they're playing on ESPN at 8 o'clock on an NBA countdown game, and then you don't want to play the next game where it's not live. So I think that those are the things that can be a big deal for Embiid. But the fact that Embiid would say that after being in the Olympics with a LeBron, with the KD, with the Devin Booker, it makes me scratch my head, man, because you've been around these leaders, these other winners. You know what I mean? You've been with these other athletes. You got a gold medal, and this is where you go with it. So again, I mean, that's the one thing that Philly did not need is Paul George to, get any type of injury. And now you have Joel Embiid following up with the, hey, well, I'll probably play my last back-to-back games. And then we're talking about somebody who has a shape issue, right? They can't play the whole game, or they're tired, or these different knickknacks happen. And I think it's mainly because, you got to take your body through that. What Shaq talks about all the time, and people say that if Shaq was in better shape, he'd be the best player ever in the NBA. But because of some of what he's done, what he did, the lack of keeping himself in shape, it impacted him. I think we may see the same thing with Joel Embiid, especially when I'm talking about missing back-to-back games.
And going to the comments real quick, Marcus brought up Embiid is soft, and him seeking off time is weak. I mean, I think whenever Paul George does return, I think the first back-to-back they need to play together. Now, later in the season, wherever happens. But early on, you guys establish that continuity. Like you mentioned about KD, you brought up KD and Devin Booker. We saw what happened last year with Bradley Beal in that group. Bradley Beal was hurt. Devin Booker was hurt at times. Kevin Durant missed a couple games here and there. They never established that continuity with that team. Now, granted, they caught a little fire towards the end of the season and made the playoffs. But you never saw that, consistency that you need to see out of those big three.
Mm-hmm.
And, especially Brad Beal, he never got off the block. And I think his only saving grace that he has a trade restriction and all that stuff in his contract that limit his trade options. So, lucky for him, he never got traded because his play was piss poor. And of course, how they, built the team and stuff like that. But back to Philly real quick. Between them, Boston, and New York, those three right there, I put Milwaukee and Cleveland, Orlando on the outside right there. Between those three teams, though, I think you look at some combination right there, make it to Eastern Conference Finals. I always said New York and Boston are going to be there. Just because how they built their roster and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
But, Philly can make it. Philly can make it if, all things go right. And Tyrese Maxey stay healthy all year. Paul George stay healthy. Joel Embiid takes care of himself.
Mm-hmm.
They can get there. But you got to establish a continuity early on. You got to learn how to play with each other.
That's what you put this team together, to make that leap. Again, I'm one of the few people that is not really bothered about Ben Simmons leaving Philly because they haven't done any better since he's left. The blame was on Ben Simmons with that situation, and what have we seen since then? So now that you continue rotating these players around Embiid, you have to make that next step. You went and got a James Harden. And now you know what I'm saying, you talked about, he's going to be that guy that's going to make a big difference. Well, now you went and he's gone, and now you have Paul George in. So now that you have this other big three, you got to make this happen. Get to the Eastern Conference Finals, and then go face the big dogs in Boston.
And, big dogs that they are. And, my fault, can the Celtics repeat? All about health with the Celtics, in my opinion. The health of Porzingis goes a long way with this team repeating again. And if he's healthy, you know what? I think if he's healthy for the playoffs, I think they can repeat. Granted, yes, they won. It's despite him. I mean, he showed up in the finals, and it went through the playoffs pretty easily. But I think you saw what New York did, Philly did, Milwaukee, trying to come back strong. Cleveland, same boat. Orlando, they knock on that door. I think if Porzingis healthy, they can repeat. But that's a big if with him because we always got this question with him, since like year 4 or 5 since he's been in the league. So if he can stay healthy, man, it'll go a long way for them.
Yeah, I agree with that. There, I think the only thing that I think is creeping in the back of my mind is the whole Olympic picking, not having Jaylen Brown on that team. I think does that mix up the chemistry a little bit between this Boston Celtics team? Does that linger a little bit to where does it bother them some type of way? That's the only thing to me. Now, obviously, like I said, the Celtics have who they have that whole team coming back. I think Al Horford retired.
Well, his sister kind of squashed that. He'll be back this year, but that's another thing to kind of think about.
Mm-hmm.
He's been real key since, ever since he joined Boston the first time, they came back the second time, all that good stuff. But he's key as well.
Yeah.
How much he got holding up?
Yeah. Like you said, it is injuries. And I like you said, I think that's going to play a huge part. But that team is loaded, man. I mean, with the pieces that they have, and now I am going to keep my eye on the Knicks. I mean, I think that team could do some work as well. But we know the Knicks always mess it up some type of way. So, do they do that? And it's going to be very interesting to see if they can be consistent and make it the Eastern Conference Finals. But they did make the East got better this year. Oh, this all season it definitely got a little bit more competitive. Remember when we seen Giannis there? We thought that they were going to just between them and Boston the whole time, and that's definitely not the case anymore. I mean, I like my Orlando Magic. They're coming. They're up and coming. So we'll see. Adding KCP, what does that do? What the impact it does. But the Knicks, like I said, I think with them, Karl-Anthony Towns is a massive pickup, man. I mean, I think that's a huge pickup, and I think him and Brunson is going to be a nasty combination.
Let me go back to Boston for real quick. Let me ask you this: you brought Jaylen Brown on this. Remember, like with Jaylen Brown and also Jason Tatum, because we also saw in that Olympic run, Jason Tatum, he didn't get that much burn like that when come time for games set in Paris.
Mm-hmm.
And especially, when the tournament began. Do you think, I want to go and stuff like that, and Steve Kerr, Katie, and the peer pressure, do you think he's in the same boat with Jaylen Brown, saying, okay, I'm going to show these fools and blah, 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 and go off, I don't say go off the rails and go off the trail a little bit, but do you think he kind of say both with Jaylen, saying, I'm going to show them? What you think about that potential side story for the Celtics?
Yeah, I mean, I think Jason Tatum is going to have his thoughts, but I think the fact that he's already creeping in that realm of one of the better players in the league, obviously they're saying that, and then him being on the front of 2K probably made it even more obvious that he is that guy. So he's taken that role and he's embraced it. Now, obviously, him being, I mean, come on, man, you on the team with LeBron, Steph, and KD. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So the hell, like the minutes that you get is going to be very limited. You can ask Tyrese Halliburton that. So for me, I think that he does see that, but I think him having the comparison between him and Jaylen Brown, I think is a little different because Jaylen Brown has already have that shadow. You know what I mean? Like he's already kind of have that shadow behind Jason Tatum, and Jason Tatum is the NBA, the cover of the NBA 2K. He's already known that he's the one that's supposed to be the better out of all of them. So to me, I think that he took that leap forward when he got the NBA title. Now I think his goal is to be that that guy in the NBA. Also, I think I honestly may see him getting a hell of a lot more minutes in Olympics in 4 years. I think that's probably almost a guarantee in my eyes. I think he's going to be, that leader, if you will. He's going to take the role that the LeBron and the KD had. So, and Steph, because I think some of them guys are probably going to be done. In 4 years. So now you're going to lead on Jason Tatum. Now obviously can't count on Kawhi to do anything. So to me, yeah, I think like I said, I think Jason Tatum is gonna he's gonna be bothered a little bit about it. They talk to him about the minutes and that he got, but he's the face of the Celtics.
Kawhi Leonard, real quick. He's still dealing with the knee issue, all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
The OKC Thunder owns the rights to the Clippers' first-round pick. This draft coming up got some very talented kids coming out, potentially. If Leonard doesn't at least play 50% of the games, where do you see the LA Clippers? Because Paul George's gone, PJ Tucker doesn't want to stick around.
Mm-hmm.
Where do you see this Clipper team this year?
I think, man, it just seemed like it was just yesterday when we seen him and Paul George they interview together, and they was walk around this cat like he was the president. They just thought that they were going to change everything. You know what? I'm going to have a bold statement when I say this. I think the Clippers start to rebuild. I bet you they definitely miss SGA now. So I think that this team rebuilds. I mean, James Harden is going to be James Harden. Looking at it, Kevin Porter, Bonus Highland, Norman Powell, Terrence Mann, Mo Bamba, and Zubac. This team is not going to be competitive in the West, especially if Kawhi is 50%. I think the best opportunity that they had is when they had the three in James Harden, Paul George, and Kawhi. But the fact that it's the same thing we talked about with Philly, and I kind of consider this as a very similar situation. If you're not playing back-to-back and you're not getting that chemistry, you're going to lose games that you shouldn't. There's games that you shouldn't lose, and it puts you in a bad area. So for me, I think that the Clippers may be in a situation where we may see them start shipping players out. And as bad as that sounds, because they went and got Kawhi Leonard and Paul George with these high expectations, and this team is in shambles, man. I mean, the fact that it is under what was happening with Kawhi is crazy. You know what I mean? So the people that are super happy about, or the team that capitalized on this Kawhi situation, is the Toronto Raptors. They got the championship. Yep, they got the championship. Probably was him at his. It seems like that is him at his peak, because it's a rare sighting to see Kawhi on the court now. So remember, Skip Bayless used to love talking about how he's the second best player in the league, X, Y, and Z, and we barely see him now. So to me, this Clippers team may take a big step back, and if so, be prepared to see them cleaning house as far as the roster.
I'm going a different direction. I don't think the Clippers make the playoff. Like I said, if you don't play much, then they ain't making the playoffs. But I kind of want to put this on Steve Ballmer. I know he paid about $10 million for the old Forum out in Inglewood, and it's turned into the Intuit Dome out in Inglewood. Looks great. Seen the pictures. seen video and stuff like that. He spent a lot of money on that. It looks beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, I can't blame him. Spend on that loot to get that and build it up, all that stuff. And it's great that Steve Ballmer has done with the Clippers. He's done a great job with them. You know, taking that team is the second biggest media market in the U.S. You know, made it to his own. Say, hey, I'm gonna make it my own. I'm gonna have my own arena for my team. I ain't gonna share with the Lakers no more and the LA Kings. So hey, we're going down south a little bit, do our own thing. Hey, shout out to him. Now, some of y'all probably saying, looking at this banner and saying, like, why it's his fault? Well, since he's bought this team, D-Lock, he always wants this team to be competitive. Which is nothing wrong. But when he kind of started this, you know, we gotta be competitive at all times. You know, at one point, you know, when the Clippers made that, I think it was 7-8 seed, and they played the Warriors. That's the team that had like Pat Bev, Lou Williams, kind of leading the charge, Zubac and all that stuff. Those guys leading the charge there. Now, you kind of got lucky. Kawhi Leonard side with you, traded for Paul George. You had to give up SGA, but now sucks. And then the results of doing that, trying to stay competitive, is like one Western Conference Finals appearance. That's it. That's all you got. And almost $1 billion wasted in Kawhi Leonard and Paul George combined. And now with Kawhi Leonard out again for the foreseeable future, we don't know when he'll make his debut. I kind of probably the latest at the feet of Steve Ballmer. You re-up Kawhi again. You brought back James Harden, so you got a cushion there. But you also got to think about D-Lock. James Harden is 34.
Indeed, he is.
Kawhi's in his 30s. Paul George was in his 30s. PJ Tucker, mid-30s. You know, Terrence Mann, I think he's like 29, 30. So I kind of put that at the feet of Steve Ballmer, like, hey, it's fine to feel compared to the team. But somebody in that front office or his right-hand man or one of his drinking buddies by courtside, you know, hey, you got to tell him, hey, man, I understand you're trying to be competitive on this stuff, but sometimes it's okay to break down every once in a while and build back up.
Yeah.
And we know the Clippers got a long history of that, build it down but not getting back up. But the way the salary cap is, and you know, all that stuff, you know, the good crop of young kids coming through, you may hit on somebody. Only thing that sucks with them, like I mentioned beforehand, their first round pick this year is going to the OKC Thunder. And that's the team you don't give another young blood on that squad to give it more ammunition for the future.
Yeah. They hit on all draft picks right now on everything.
Yeah. And role players, whatever, they seem like that scouting department has worked really well to get to where they're at right now. And they probably would be one of the more dangerous teams, the deep teams in the NBA in this season. But somebody got to talk to Steve Ballmer. Say, hey, man, depending on where by March, where this team stands, you got to tell him, hey, man, we kind of do a soft reset here.
Yeah. I mean, I think the biggest thing, too, is, you know, you said the team, they continue to restart. They had a piece to restart with, to build with, and that was SGA.
Yeah.
and you traded him. So again, I mean, you had a few pieces that you can build around, but I mean, at this point, you have to, you probably have to take the blame on this, because obviously knowing what Kawhi's situation, hell, even he was kind of like that in San Antonio. If you don't work out in San Antonio, then something's got to be wrong. You know what I mean? So for that to happen, and then Paul George, end up getting that nickname Playoff P, and then you go get James Harden. So in a sense, the trades and the moves they made seem like they were backpedaling from a decision he made to sign Kawhi. So somebody definitely got to take this blame. But it's just, to me, man, we talked about doing our 200 show. It just seemed like it was just yesterday when we seen the news about Kawhi and Paul George going there. And they were supposed to be the competitive team with the Lakers. And they are not. That's totally different roster now. It looks totally different. I mean, you're signing Mo Bamba. What the hell are you about to do with Mo Bamba? You got him and Zubac. I mean, honestly, you got two guys that are very similar. Okay, one maybe could shoot a three every now and then, but what is your purpose of that? How are you trying to build? So they got to figure out something. But the fact that Kawhi is already not healthy, I'm probably moving off of him quick. If I had that opportunity, I possibly would. But again, that's me saying starting from scratch, because that's something that they probably won't have to do. So own up to it, like you said, start over.
Before we go to our last break, I want to bring this up. Marcus brought up this. He hasn't been healthy since he left Toronto. Marcus, how would you counter that? When he got hurt in San Antonio, in the playoff game against the Warriors, when he stepped on Zaza foot and stuff like that, accidental on purpose, never know. After that, that's when things kind of just spiraled. And like you mentioned earlier, D-Lock, I think Toronto got that last good bit of Kawhi to win when they won that championship. Like, they got that last good prime scoring all around basketball player, Kawhi Leonard, the Raptors did to win that championship. They got the last good bit of it. Now, could he stay in Toronto and stay healthy there? I don't know. We don't know. That's kind of like one of those what-if scenarios. But, he had the issues like starting back in San Antonio. The rehab and stuff like that. Greg Popovich beefing. Then, Greg Popovich seeing Tony Parker and Manu Ginobili after him, which didn't help things at all.
Mm-hmm.
And then after that, San Antonio being a downward spiral until they hit on Wemby last year. So, Marcus, I say this. The issue started when he got injured in that playoff game in San Antonio. And he hit that. And lucky for them, they caught lucky. They beat the Sixers in a great fashion over the shot over to Joel Embiid that he did. They went on to win the championship against the Warriors, who suffered two heartbreaks right there that kind of broke up their dynasty, if you kind of look back on it. When KD getting hurt and Klay Thompson getting hurt. That was kind of like the end of them. So I just thinking that was the end of Kawhi right there. That was the end of Kawhi when he got injured in that playoff. I hate to say it like that. But when we come back, D-Lock, we're gonna talk about. I know you want to talk about. Let's talk about Brownie. We'll hop back and talk about the WNBA Finals, which the Liberty kind of close the gap here a little bit. So, at the other side of this break, We'll talk Bronny, WNBA championship, final thoughts, and then end the show. But this is Fast Break here live for iSports Radio. Your direct for all sports. Thank you for tuning in with us.
Hey sports fans, do you like wine? Well, we've got the show for you. This is Let's Wine About Sports, a show where we talk about wine and sports simultaneously. From the classic Cabernet Sauvignon all the way down to the grapes that you've never even heard of before. Oh yeah, we cover it all. And we'll talk about a little bit of sports as well. Football, hockey, collegiate, women's sports, it doesn't matter. We're going to talk about it all, and we're going to whine about it all. So join me Monday at 8 p.m. on IU Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
What's up, sports fans? You're listening to IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. I'm your favorite West Coast Wisconsinite, Bernie Bango, and if you're a cheesehead, come listen to my show, Big Cheese Sports, where we road trip around America's Dairyland, previewing, reviewing, predicting, debating, and digging into all that is Wisconsin sports at the college and pro levels. Join me on IE Sports Radio, Sundays at 1 p.m. Central Standard. Bernie out.
And we're back here for the last segment of the show for Fast Break here for iSports Radio, your direct for all sports. Thank y'all for tuning in with us tonight. D-Lock, let's dive into the Lakers real quick before we get out of here. And we hop back to the WNBA game momentarily. The Lakers, I won't say a hot topic in the preseason in a sense, but I'd say more of we kind of watching one person, see how he does. And that's one LeBron James Jr., also known as Bronny. The last preseason game they played against the Warriors. The Warriors blew them out 132-74. None of the main players really played in that game. So, I mean, nothing really to go home about. One guy who's been real consistent for the Lakers in this preseason, Quincy Oliveri. He led the way with 22 points in that game. And shout out to him. He got his two-way contract from the Lakers as well. So shout out to him, to Quincy Oliveri, getting that contract for his celebrating the preseason. So he led the way. Bronny James had 17 points in the starting role as well. So you've been kind of keeping close eye on Bronny. I've seen highlights. I've seen him in game. I've seen him in the game, stuff like that. So it's like,
yeah.
Your thoughts on him and the Lakers and what they should do with them throughout the season?
Well, I mean, I know we would love. I feel like we would love to see, any athlete be successful. Especially one with the name LeBron James Jr. I mean, we see his dad, and we're like, oh, it's the next up and coming is going to be even greater. So we put those high expectations on these players. We've done that as fans. We've done that. Michael Jordan. We thought his sons were going to be as good, maybe better. We do that in all sports. We do that. So I really want to see him be successful. I think seeing the guy that we've seen grow up through the NBA. Me being about to be 35 in December, I remember watching LeBron James be everywhere with his son, or LeBron being everywhere with his son, Bronny James. And it's just insane to see him actually in the NBA right now playing with his dad. You know what I mean? So we want the success for him. I just think that right now, him, being in that rotation with this group, I want to see how they're going to put that together. Because looking at the guys that you have, you got D'Angelo Russell, Austin Reeves, Max Christie, Cam Reddish, Gabe Vincent. Those are the guys that are going to guarantee. They're not guaranteed, but they're going to play a lot of minutes. Dalton Connect is playing out of his mind right now. So I think that when you see that, knowing what he brings to the table, where do we see Bronny James fitting in right now? And it makes me question. Are you winning? Is your goal winning a championship, or are we trying to make this Bronny and Bron James opportunity happen, even if that means taking unnecessary losses, losing games that they shouldn't lose? So for me, I think the kid has talent. Obviously we've seen it in the last game against the Warriors. He gets those minutes. He can do a lot. But again, how many minutes does he get? What's the impact with that? So for me, I probably would consider him going to the G League. Bronny James, while going to the G League, we don't want to hear that. But that's something that should be considered. We talked about it before. I think we both agreed that he should have went back to school. We thought that he can get a little bit more development and do something, a little bit later down the road, if you will. So, obviously the pressure of JJ playing him, hell, I thought the pressure was to draft him. And they had to do that. So, in my mind, I think he's going to play. But again, at what cost for the Lakers? Because I don't think right now, I honestly don't think he's ready as a player alone, let alone get the chemistry with the different rotations that we're talking about. So for me, looking at him, see he's struggled through preseason, which a lot of rookies do, on any sport. But I think that at some point, man, I think they're going to have to let him just develop a little bit more. Now, granted, he got drafted. You probably have him play a couple games with his dad, get some minutes. But at some point for his career to take off, get close to the potential that it can be, they're going to have to possibly have him go to the G League or just give him time to develop. Throwing him in there, what we've seen from his dad at 18, we don't see it in Bronny James Jr. Let's just get that clear. He's not – what we've seen in LeBron James was a totally different athlete. That's not his son. It's not. And that's okay. So for me, I just hope that, Lakers do right by that, because I think it'd be better in the long run for both the Lakers and Bronny James.
Marcus brought an interesting point. How come first rounders don't have the same pressure as Bronny James? I did want to touch on this. I think when we talk about the draft on the podcast form, and you can find that, on YouTube or Spreaker or whatever, you find it on whatever. But when we review the draft, this draft wasn't really strong. It really wasn't. And we talked about that. Some guys got to good place and stuff like that. The first 2 picks in the draft, those guys, I don't think they expect big things out of them about the gate anyway. So, what's the pressure? So a lot of guys don't have that pressure in this draft. I mean, coming into this draft, everybody kind of dubbed it as a weak draft. So once you kind of did that, all the media folks, all that stuff kind of did that. That's what you left with. And for Bronny, not to his fault, to his own, he gets that stigma of being LeBron James' son. And we know how LeBron James is a lightning rod in conversation. Kind of like Pete Rose. Should Pete Rose go in the Hall of Fame just because he gambled? Lightning rod conversation. LeBron James is a lightning rod conversation. Whether on the basketball court, outside the basketball court, he's a lightning rod conversation. So now you throw his son to the mix. His son's gonna be a lightning rod conversation. So for me, I don't think it's too much pressure. Like I just mentioned not too long ago, Quincy Alveri, let's play pretty damn well in the preseason. Got a 2-way contract. To contribute well in the G League for the Lakers. But also should be ahead of depth chart, ahead of Bronny, because he's playing the preseason. Now, I think the one person Bronny's really kind of fighting minutes on is Jalen Hood-Schifino. He hasn't done damn dick at all, excuse my language, since he's been drafted. So I think pressure's on, Hood-Schifino to kind of, make his play better. If not, you got this guy right here who's also one of the best players all time, son, nipping your heels. And if he eclipses you, then you up Schitt's Creek, man.
Yeah.
So for me, for Bronny, I think early on in the season we'll see him play together with his father. I don't think they should, but I think they're gonna get that moment out the way early. And we may see him down the G League. We may. I don't know. It's just kind of hard to gauge. When I bring this title up, is the pressure to JJ to play him? Because you got to think about it, man. Bronny been playing and starting since he's been on the basketball court. And I think the only time he really has come out the bench was when he's at USC.
Right.
So, there's other guys ahead of him right now. Like you mentioned, Russ, Gabe Vincent, Austin Reeves, Max Christie. Those guys are ahead right now. So, I don't know where he's going to fit in. I think G League will do a world of good. I've always been a proponent of Bronny kind of staying back in school at least another year. Not because because he isn't good. Some people say he ain't good. I think he's good. I just think what happened last year with the medical issue and the way USC season went, I think another year kind of would have benefited to come back, have a strong year, kind of show out a little bit, and then kind of earn that first round guarantee in next year's draft. But, he chose what he did to do, so he did what he did. So, I don't know how much time he's going to play. I hope JJ don't cave into pressure. I hope JJ is coaching to win games and not be in that Brian Scott role that Brian Scott was last 2 years of Kobe's playing years with the Lakers. Because if we're doing that, then we're kind of like easing to a rebuild mode.
Exactly.
And I don't think Laker fans don't want that. I think you may found something in Don't Connect when he kind of went off, like you mentioned last week against the Suns, when he was just on fire, just shooting threes, making them, scoring at will.
Yeah.
So, if he can find that consistency all year, you may have something out there on the wing. But, for Bronny, the average draft pick, I don't see much impact right now. And truth be told, I wasn't big on the Lakers bringing back Max Christie to the big deal they did. I know they like him, but I was like, you bringing him back on a 4-year, $32 million deal?
Yeah. That me scratching my head too.
And he didn't show much promise. So, Connect, I'm cool with. He can show that he can score. I never saw that for Max Christie. I never saw that for Jalen Hood-Schifino. So, for Bronny, if you could outshow those two guys, I think you'd be in the right step in direction. Just my advice to him. If you show you worth more than Christie and Hood-Schifino, I think you're in the right steps. Outplay the kid from Xavier, you're in the right direction. Now you talk about, okay, I'm behind Gabe Vincent, Reeves, Russell in the rotation. And we'll just go from there.
Mm-hmm.
But your last thoughts.
Yeah, I think that I agree with you there. I think that if he can get in that range, then he has a chance to get some minutes. But again, and that Max Christie signing was a big head scratcher to me as well. It definitely had me thinking, what the hell are they thinking right now? But they have to get, like I said, and they have to get their chemistry together. I think we seen how guards did whatever they wanted to do against the Lakers last year. So now that's something that they have to fix. Now, another thing that we always hear when we talk about the Lakers is, are they going to trade for somebody by the trade deadline? So if that comes around, what if there are some available pieces that could benefit this team? Now, does it impact the minutes that Bronny James can possibly get? So it's like I said, a lot of times for me, I'm thinking to your same thing you said. If they start playing Bronny James a hell of a lot more, than they're sliding in that rebuilding mode, and that's something that they definitely shouldn't be trying to do now. And also another thing is free agency too. Next year, who's gonna be available? Who are they gonna try to add somebody? That's a huge thing. I talked about saying that possibly could Trae Young be on his way out of Atlanta at some point. So again, I think that the pressure, JJ is gonna have that without question. But can he stick to his thought process and his plan and say, hey, this is what I'm sticking to. This is what I want to do with this rotation. Because I think that is we've heard all season since he got drafted. How's he going to be playing with your father? Are you going to be calling your dad LeBron? Are you going to be calling him dad? Like, that's been the main talk since Bronny James has gotten there. Not necessarily how can he benefit and help this team win. And that's my biggest issue is, obviously we want to see them play together, but do they still have that same goal of winning?
Yep. And that's the only thing that Jenny Buzz, Rob Pelinka, JJ Redick can answer. How invested y'all into winning?
Mm-hmm.
Before we got here, D-Lock, going back to the WNBA Finals real quick. The Lynx are down 3, 47-44 to New York Liberty. Liberty has made a strong comeback in the third. Granted, being outscoring the Lynx 20-10 in the third quarter. They're up by 3 right now. 47-44 going to the fourth quarter. How do you see this game finishing out at the end?
Well, Sabrina has not been doing too much yet, so I think she still hasn't woken up yet. I think that maybe she does come in and play a big part. But like Niara's came out, she's playing pretty well coming off the bench. Jaquel Jones obviously is holding it down right now too. Man, I mean, I think with knowing that this can possibly be their first ever WNBA title, I think the Liberty grab it still. I mean, I think now going to that fourth quarter, Breanna Stewart, who hasn't been shooting extremely well, but she's grabbed 14 rebounds, so that kind of makes up for the bad shooting. But I think that they can possibly take this victory. I mean, Niara can continue. She's 4 for 4 right now, so she's on fire. If she can go out there and play pretty decent with the impact that she's making, they might be okay. So I think, like I said, I think the Liberty have a good chance of getting this title, man. I think that's the biggest thing. Jaquel Jones, if she can continue holding down with the starters, hopefully Breanna Stewart can make a couple of shots and seal this victory.
Yeah, looking at Sabrina Ionescu, 0 for 10 from the field, 0 for 4 for 3-point land, 2 points from the charity strike. That's abysmal.
Yeah.
Like I said, we previewed the series. She got it. But this is the days I kind of talk about with her. You know what I'm saying? Like the consistency all the way through. It's got to be all the way through.
Yeah.
So she has 2 points so far. God bless Jonquel Jones. She has 15 points for the Liberty. Breanna Stewart, great job on the boards, but 3 for 12 for shooting and 7 points for her. And then for the Lynx side of things, Collier 60 points, McBride 11 for the Lynx. So it's nice and they calling it tight, nice and tight. I don't know which way it's going to go, but if the Lynx want to win, I know I got into her earlier in the show, but Williams, she got to step up a little bit, and you kind of need a little bit more from Smith and Carlton to kind of finish out the game.
Right.
I think if those things happen, I think those things happen. I think, I think those things will go well for the Lynx. But I don't know. It seemed like a Jonquel Jones type of takeover in the floor. And I think if the Liberty can ride her, I think they'll go a long way for them to win this game. So, your final prediction before we get off the air: who wins the WNBA championship in the year 2024?
I got Liberty. They first title. First title, baby.
I'm gonna go with. I don't know. I'll go with the Lynx. I'm staying with the Lynx. I'm going with the Lynx. I think they'll pull through. I don't know. I just think they'll pull through. I don't know. I'm not saying New York can win, but the other 2 star players are not giving me hope for New York to win their first WNBA championship. They're really not. They really not. But this has been our show tonight, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for tuning in with us tonight here for Fast Break on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. D-Lock, how can people find you on social media?
You guys can find me at Black-813 on Twitter/X. Let them know they can find you in the show's page.
Do follow the show's page on Twitter/X at Fastbreak at IESR. That's Fastbreak IESR. Also, do check out iSports Radio. Available wherever you get your podcasts. or how you listen to your shows. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, Spreaker, anything that's audible where you get your podcast from. Even on here, YouTube podcast, they brand new thing they launched out. Do check that out as well. Do follow me on Twitter at Spawn4288. That's Spawn4288 on Twitter/X. I do another show on the side called The Crooks Process. You can do follow me on there on Instagram and Facebook. Get The Crooks Process there. Give me a follow there on there. I do talk about other stuff besides basketball on there, so do give me a follow on there. But until then, ladies and gentlemen, we're back here next week discussing the end of the WNBA season. The NBA kicking off this week, so do follow us on Twitter, like I just mentioned. And like I said, this is Fast Break for iSports Radio. You're the direct feed for all that sports, and you're welcome to join us.